All right, today we're cracking open a true legend, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. For almost 100 years, this book has been a roadmap for literally millions of people, and it's all built around one secret formula for success. So in this explainer, we're basically going to hand you the keys. You know, the book starts with this line that just hits you. It's this powerful idea that life pretty much gives you exactly what you have the guts to ask for. It's a negotiation, and it's happening all the time. So the real question isn't what life has in store for you, but what you're actually willing to demand. So where did this all come from? Well, it all started with this one question. It was basically a challenge from Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men who ever lived, to a young journalist named Napoleon Hill. And that challenge sent Hill on this unbelievable 20-year quest to interview over 500 of the most successful people on the planet and figure out their shared formula for winning. Okay, let's dive into this. Now, Carnegie didn't just ask a casual question. No, he gave Hill a full-blown assignment. He was absolutely convinced that there was a magic formula for success, a set of rules that anyone could learn. So he charged Hill with discovering that formula and, this is the important part, sharing it with the whole world. I mean, think about that. This wasn't just about getting rich. Carnegie was talking about a total revolution in what people are capable of. He believed these principles were so powerful that if they were taught the right way, they could let anyone, and he meant anyone, achieve amazing things, and way, way faster than normal. So where does a formula this big even begin? Well, Hill is really clear on this point. Every single great achievement, every fortune, every legacy, it doesn't start with money or connections or luck. It all starts with one thing, a burning desire. That's the spark. That's what gets everything going. And this right here is such a critical distinction. See, almost everybody wishes for stuff. It's a passive daydream. But a wish on its own is useless. A burning desire, though, that's something totally different. It's a white-hot obsession. It's this complete certainty that you will get what you're after, and that certainty forces you to get up and actually make a plan. And if you want to see what a burning desire looks like in action, look no further than Marshall Field. After the Great Chicago Fire leveled his store, he didn't see disaster. He stood there, in the middle of all the smoking rubble, pointed to the ground and said, "That." That wasn't a wish. That was a command he was giving to the universe, because in his mind, it was already done. So that initial spark of desire is essential, but a spark dies without fuel. And that fuel, according to Hill, is faith. And we're not talking about just wishful thinking here. We're talking about an absolute, rock-solid conviction that you're going to achieve your goal, long before you have any proof that you will. Okay, so you're probably asking, how do I just get faith in something that isn't real yet? Well, Hill gives us a tool. It's called autosuggestion. And it's basically the act of intentionally programming your own subconscious. The idea is, whatever you tell yourself over and over and over again, your mind eventually accepts it as true. You literally become the architect of your own beliefs. To make it super practical, Hill lays out this self-confidence formula. Think of it as a daily workout for your mind. First, you just know with total certainty that you can achieve your main goal. Second, you demand action from yourself constantly. And third, you set aside time, a full 30 minutes every day, to just focus on and visualize the person you're trying to become. You're creating a mental blueprint for your subconscious to follow. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The whole game is won or lost right between your ears. If you think you're defeated, you are. It all starts with your will. It really is, all in your state of mind. So now let's see how we turn that state of mind into actual motion. Okay, so you've got the spark, which is desire. You've got the fuel, which is faith. Now you need an engine to actually move you forward. And that engine has two absolutely critical parts that work together: organized planning and pure, simple persistence. This is where the rubber meets the road. You know that old saying, knowledge is power? Well, Hill says, not so fast. He argues that's just not the full picture. Knowledge on its own is only potential power. It's just a bunch of facts in your head. It doesn't become real power until you organize it into a workable plan and aim it at a very specific goal. But what happens when your amazing plan smacks into a wall? Because, let's be honest, it will. Hill says in that moment, the easiest, most logical thing in the world to do is just quit. And that's exactly what most people do. This is why that second part of the engine, persistence, is so incredibly crucial. This brings us to probably the most famous story in the entire book. It's about a man, R.U. Darby, whose uncle struck gold. Things were great, but then the vein of ore just stopped. He got discouraged, gave up, and sold all his equipment to a junk man for next to nothing. Well, this junk man decided to bring in an engineer who told him to try drilling just 3 feet from where the uncle had stopped. And boom, there was the gold. The junk man made millions from the mine that was abandoned just shy of the prize. And the lesson from that story is massive. A temporary setback is not permanent failure. Hill's point is that persistence is like a force of nature that failure just can't handle. If you keep pushing, failure eventually gets tired and gives up. It's what separates the people who make it from the ones who almost did. So desire, faith, and persistence, that's already a pretty powerful machine. But Hill introduces one final piece that's like a supercharger. It multiplies the power of everything else. He calls it the mastermind. So what is a mastermind? It's the energy, the synergy that's created when 2 or more people perfectly align themselves toward a single goal. Hill believed this creates a third, invisible mind, a kind of collective intelligence that gives everybody in the group access to way more power and knowledge than they'd ever have on their own. And listen, this is not just some nice idea. This is a documented strategy of the world's most successful people. Andrew Carnegie straight up said his entire fortune was thanks to his mastermind group of about 50 people. Henry Ford's success went into overdrive after he became friends with Thomas Edison, and then that circle grew to include Harvey Firestone. Power just attracts more power. So we've put all the pieces together: desire, faith, planning, persistence, and the mastermind. Which brings us all the way back to the beginning. What was Andrew Carnegie's big secret that he wanted to get out into the world? And here's the big reveal. The secret is that there is no single secret. There's no magic trick. The magic Carnegie was talking about was the entire philosophy. The power isn't in any one of these things, it's in putting all of them together and making them work in harmony. So this is the blueprint, all laid out. It starts with a burning desire. You fuel it with unshakable faith that you build yourself. You drive it with the engine of organized planning and sheer persistence. And you amplify all of it with a mastermind alliance. That's the formula. And the foundation for this whole system is one simple but incredibly profound truth. You don't control the economy. You don't control what other people do. But you have absolute, total, 100% control over one thing: your thoughts. Hill calls this your divine estate, the one part of the universe that is completely yours to command. And so that really leaves us with the book's final challenge, which now gets passed on to you. The principles are clear. The key is right there. The power to achieve, to create, to literally bargain with life for what you want. It all starts and ends with how you choose to use the one thing you completely control. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with it?